Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sultan Petty and today we're going to be doing a deck tech for my favorite god of Theros, Klothys, God of Destiny. Now what does Klothys do? Klothys is a 3 mana, 1 generic, 1 red, 1 green, legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. And as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Klothys isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, add a red or a green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life and Klothys deals 2 damage to each opponent. And with power toughness of 4 or 5, Klothys can be quite a beater herself. Now, the goal of this deck is to wheel and deal. We want to fill up our graveyard and our opponent's graveyards with lots of goodies for Klothys to target. Then we'll make use of her consistent ping damage and amplify it with damage doublers and similar effects to burn our enemies to the ground, where we will claim victory over the ashes. Now before we're going to be able to burn our opponents to ashes, we're going to need a proper land base and mana ramp to do so. So of course we're going to be running the traditional powerhouse cards like Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and since we're in green, Rampant Growth and Cultivate will definitely prove useful. However, because Klothys wants things in our graveyard, I want to take advantage of cards that either put themselves or other things in the graveyard when they enter. So ramp like Harrow, Sakura Tribe Elder, and Spring Bloom Druid are incredibly effective. And while I know it's not necessarily smiled upon to use all the different types of fetches, I find that fetches in Klothys are incredibly important, as this turn's fetch is next turn's mana ramp thanks to her ability. Finally, I want to round off this section by talking about Neheb the Eternal and the Great Henge. While neither of these are early game mana ramps, both of these greatly benefit being in our deck, as the Great Henge is a kind of all-around powerhouse green card that offers card draw and mana ramp, and Neheb will give us a good chunk of red mana, given the fact that Klothys will be doing quite a bit of damage alongside our other damage pingers. With our board state rammed and ready to go, let's take a moment to look at the things we're going to use to put cards into our opponent's graveyards and in our own. So, of course, we want to start with our traditional wheel effects, like the Wheel of Fortune or its red-headed stepchild, Wheel of Fate. There's also Reforge the Soul, and then Faithless Looting is a nice way to dig into our graveyard on loop with its flashback, getting us a good amount of cards in hand and a good amount of cards in our graveyard. However, we won't want to just be targeting our own things. So I've included a couple of useful artifacts, the first of which is Mind Crank, a great artifact for this deck. For each time we hit them in the face with Klothys' damage, they're going to be milling 2 cards, meaning we're always going to have a valid target for Klothys' ability. I also like Altar of the Rood because I feel that we'll be able to pull it off quite a bit, and Gruul Color's Bell I think is a fun artifact that will fill graveyards and hose powerful tutors like Vampiric or Worldly Tutor. Now that we have lots of juicy targets in the graveyard to exile, let's talk about some of the effects we're going to be using to amplify our damage, do more damage, and benefit off of damage dealt. Now let's first talk about things that will ramp our damage. Of course, the newly created and highly overpowered, in my opinion, Fiery Emancipation is right at home in this deck. Sitting alongside that, I'm running effects like Ember Maw Helium, Dictator the Twin Gods, Furnace of Wrath, Torbrand, and Fiendish Duo, which I feel Fiendish Duo is a highly underrepresented card. While it is a little pricey, I definitely think it's worth a pickup for this deck. I do realize that Klothys does gain us life, but I don't feel like the life gain is relevant enough to still not run anti-life gain effects like Leyline of Punishment and Sulfuric Vortex. The last couple cards I want to talk about in this section are Chandra, Awakened Inferno, Chandra's Incinerator, and Obliterate. Chandra Awakened Inferno to me is a no-brain, no-thought auto-include in any red deck where you're looking to burn people, as she can't be countered, and her ability to put down emblems that constantly ping is probably the strongest, most consistent way to do it in all of Magic. Chandra's Incinerator is a good, strong beater that benefits from us doing damage to our opponents, and is a good way to fend off enemies from wanting to charge at us, because we're likely going to be drawing aggro with all this burn. Lastly, Obliterate to me is our one-card win condition, as once we have our damage dealers online, in the form of emblems and enchantments, Obliterate destroys everything that we don't need, and that our opponents likely do need. And then we can just sit back and relax while opponents burn to ash. Speaking of drawing aggro, we're definitely going to need to run some ways to protect ourselves. So, to deal with our worst enemy, the notorious blue player, I have Pyroblast. Then, in addition, we're running Heroic Intervention to protect our things. As I already mentioned, Stranglehold is a powerful way to stop our opponents from getting what they need, or taking extra turns. I also am running Cindervines, Song of the Dryad, Blasphemous Act, and Rolling Earthquake. A Song of the Dryads is a great way to deal with problematic commanders. Rolling Earthquake and Blasphemous Act are powerful board wipes that won't impact our beloved Klothys. And Cindervines is a nice way to tax our opponent in dealing with problematic artifacts and enchantments. That's going to bring us to the end of our Klothys deck tech. As always, make sure to head over to my Twitch to check out more Magic the Gathering content live. And on my playlist right next to me, you can check out more Commander deck techs. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think about the deck tech in the description below. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see. I'll see you guys in the next deck tech.